Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I'm your host, JP John Poz. With me today, two very special guests. They're, of course, NWA superstars. You may know them as Magnum Muscle. They're getting tag team title shots coming up at the pay-per-view. Mims and Dak Draper. Welcome to the two-man power trip. How you guys doing?
Hey,
Hey,
doing good.
So the big pay-per-view is coming up, La Rebellion. I guess we'll start off with Mims and then we'll go to Dak. What is the latest on your status for NWA 312 Chicago at Studio One at the big pay-per-view? What do you think?
my status is all green lights, man. I'm ready to go. I've been excited for this for a while, and like I talked about with you before we actually got on air, I got to go see Dak not too long ago. We got to get some training in, some much needed training, to prepare for one of the most, if not the most, dominant tag team in recent years. Not just in NWA, but outside of NWA, you can still kind of include them in that same conversation. So to say that I'm looking forward to this is a bit of an understatement because just looking at the preparation we put ahead of time would show you how important this is. So it's a big deal. So I'm ready to just go ahead and get started and get in there.
Dak, how about you? La Rebellion tag team title match at the pay-per-view, NWA tag team titles.
I'm really excited to show everything that Magnum Muscle can do because I feel like we're still, even though we've made an impact in NWA, we're still a new tag team in NWA. And I don't think that the audience, the broad audience, or even the powers that be at NWA know of everything that we're capable of. Like we can run with the guys that are fast. We're stronger than I like to say we're stronger than just about every established tag team in NWA. And I'm really excited to show what we can do and then to also reach that potential that we're capable of reaching. And I think we started on that with the Champions Series, with helping Team Rock and Roll win the Champions Series. And I think we're just going to keep that momentum. Like we have yet to lose as a tag team. And I would like to keep that 0 in that column all the way to the right.
So Mims, like I was mentioning, obviously you get the pay-per-view on Fight TV, and
Hmm.
tickets available NWATix.com, NationalWrestlingAlliance.com for all tickets information. But what do you think about La Rebellion? We're saying, they've been on a roll forever. They've been tag team champs for a while. What is your honest opinion of them? Like, how can you kind of beat them? And what do you think about their athleticism versus you guys?
Well, I would say when it comes to athleticism, we could possibly be evenly matched, but I think there's more of a showcase for them to show how athletic they are. But athleticism only matters if you can win. And they've also showed that they can win. They've won countless times so far to defend those championship titles, but they've got to be lucky every single time they step in the ring. We only have to be lucky once. That's it. It's just one fluke win. It's one roll up. It's one time when we catch you and knock you out on the fly, or one time we catch you in a hold and we make you tap out. It's one time. So I feel like that's where, people always say there's a champion's advantage. I feel like we have a challenger's advantage here because, again, we have nothing to lose. We have nothing to lose. They have everything to lose. We also have everything to gain. So I think of this team, it's probably the biggest challenge I could ever think of, not only for myself, but for Magnum Muscle as a team to show that, well, we're the real deal. We're not just some thrown together team with two guys that had no idea what they were doing. They just happened to bump into each other and say, hey, let's go out there and have a match, brother. No, I think this is something that proves that we are not only a new team, but we're going to be the best team. I mean, you could possibly call it beginner's luck, but let's just call it beginner's skill. Let's call it beginner's skill.
Dak, what do you think? Not only scouting report on La Rebellion, what about a scouting report on you guys?
Well, I think our obviously listening to our name, our greatest attribute is our strength because we are strong. But with the Rebellion, they have the speed advantage. We know that. But how fast are you going to be when Mims does a splash onto you and knocks all the wind out of you? How fast are you going to be able to run around after Dak Draper's carrying you around in a gut wrench suplex for, between 2 and 7 minutes? Speed fades, strength is forever. And so I think with the strength that Magnum Muscle has, I think the odds are more in our favor than people like to think that they are.
Mims, when you look at the landscape of the tag division, where do you guys stack up? I mean, obviously you're getting tag title shots, so obviously pretty high, but what do you think about the rest of the division?
I would like to say that we're those underdogs that I'm biased. We're biased. We're going to think we're not underdogs in the situation. Whoever thinks they are the underdog in the situation. But I feel like that's how people look at us in the tag team landscape, because they're still trying to figure us out and still trying to understand exactly what Magnum Muscle is and to understand exactly what our style is. And we're still kind of coming into understanding that too. But the main thing to look at is look at the matches we've had so far. We've been winning. We're on a streak. We have the momentum on our side, and it's an unstoppable train. It's an unstoppable force, and we're possibly meeting an immovable object. But again, like Dak said, strength is one of our number one assets. We don't have any immovable objects. It's nothing but unstoppable force. So it doesn't matter how people see us in the tag team division. It doesn't matter how people see us in tag team pro wrestling as a whole. All that matters is that come Saturday, well, Friday and Saturday, I'm sorry, they're going to see exactly where we place ourselves at. So, yeah, keep your opinions, keep your rumors to yourself. We'll show and prove. That's what we do best.
Dak, you agree, Dak?
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I feel like our first match as a team was against, our first match as a tag team was against Bulletproof Droop and Jack Stain. And we showed there that even though Jack Stain's very seasoned in the NWA, he's accomplished a ton in the NWA. He's the veteran there. And then Bulletproof Troop is this up-and-comer who's super dynamic. We showed that we still have that winning ability. And then facing Blunt Force Trauma with Aaron Stevens at their side, we showed there too we can withstand that. And that's a match that after that, I'm not trying to put the cart in front of the horse here. If, and I believe when, we are able to get those NWA Tag Team Championships, I want to run it back with Blunt Force Trauma, because I want to make Aaron Stevens pay for the way that he's treated, because he likes to hide behind those two guys. And those two guys hide him, so they're equally as guilty. And so I think they've gotten off a little bit, and they need to pay.
So let's just talk for a second, Mims, about the actual forming of the tag team. Like, how did you guys actually get together, even behind the scenes? How did you get together? Was it a thing that you wanted to always team? Did you think you're always going to team? I know I just talked to Tyrus, and he said that he kind of injured you and maybe pushed you in a certain direction. I don't know if that's actually true, but it's something he said. What do you think about putting the team together, and how did it come together?
Well, I like to think that it's a little bit of serendipity. And with Tyrus, I hate to ever go ahead and give this man his flowers, because obviously we have history.
Yeah.
But I have to respect the fact that he did know exactly what he was talking about. He did one thing that, I thought it was going to be possibly either the biggest mistake of my life or the biggest downfall of my life, by beating me back at Always Ready, injuring me there, and then me having to deal with the recovery over the next couple months, and then kind of trying to come back in and rebuild what I had kind of already built. This is the thing. I obviously can believe in serendipity. Here we are in the most serendipitous situation. That feud, that story, that battle that we had led to what we're doing right now. I got led to something even better. One loss turned into ultimately a victory, and that goes to something I like to tell people all the time. It's not me being delusional. It's the fact that I think that I don't lose, I learn. I don't lose because of the fact that I try to take every loss that people would put on me, and I take it as a chance to improve. It is a win that has not been determined yet. That's how I see every single loss. Without that loss at Always Ready last year, how would I be in Magnum Muscle? How would this team have come together? There wouldn't have been a situation marred with desperation on my end to finally be back in the winning column, to finally be back on the momentum train again, if it wasn't for that loss, if it wasn't for that downfall that I suffered for months and months, scratching and crawling to get back out of that hole that I was in mentally. Not just in the win column, not just on television, but also mentally, I was psyched out completely. To come into that and have Dak Draper essentially, hey, this is the Drape Crusader. This is Dak Man right here, and I'm his wonderful sidekick, Mimsy, on his side, because the man's been like a superhero to save what could have been a spiraling out of my career. This is a renaissance for me. I know it's very early on to say that, less than 5 years in, but this is somebody who, luckily, we got put together for Team Rock and Roll at a point where I was still teetering towards my lowest. So to have that resurgence come up by the energy that Dak brings to this team and how he holds this together has kind of been one of the biggest blessings in disguise I've ever had. If I could go back in time right now, I wouldn't change a single thing, because it ends up with me right here talking to you about this in the same chat as my tag team partner, who's the best partner I could possibly have in the NWA. There isn't a better choice. I mean, we all saw what Dak did in the national title tournament. Even if we can talk about the end and how it was heartbreaking, it doesn't matter. That man ran through and he dominated in that tournament. Not only did he dominate there, he went right after that and dominated the championship series and saved my butt again. Not just saving my butt for bringing me out of the low lows that I was in, but also he literally saved my butt with giving me that title shot. It's all him. It was what, a 2-1, 3-1 deficit, and this man actually went out there and absolutely clutched it, nerves of steel. So why wouldn't I want to be with a partner like that? Why would I not feel like I'm walking on cloud nine? Why would I not feel like I'm extremely confident that we can go in there and take these titles off of La Rebellion if I have a teammate like that? hey, if he's willing to carry me, I hope his back is strong enough to carry all 265 pounds of this. I'm all in for it, brother.
Dak, what do you think about the forming of the team and really how it came together and where you guys are at right now?
Well, I feel like when I came into NWA, I was like a mercenary. I had nobody watching my back, and you kind of have that lonely feeling. Everybody kind of knew each other. I think I've only been in the NWA for about 6 months, maybe a little longer now. But it was, I just kind of never really felt like I had anybody. And then when they put us in the Champions Series, Mims was just a guy that I feel like we kind of got along. We naturally got along really well. We feel the same way about a lot of things. And our friendship grew throughout the Champions Series. And I remember we were taking pictures together at the I think it was during the Champions Series, and just like the jokes we had back and forth. Even if you look back at the pictures that came out, it's like we're just like laughing and joking together. And I think that's one of the most important parts of a tag team, is like they have to like each other. You have to care about the guy that you're in there with, and you have to trust that they're going to have your back. And that's the biggest thing for me with the trust, is that I know Mims has got my back and I've got his back.
Dak, when you look at it and you're saying that, is that always the case? Like you guys were saying, like you were working out together. Is that always the case with tag teams? Like they should get along? Is that the best way
I
a
don't
tag team
I don't think
functions?
I don't think that they always have to get along, but for me personally, I'm not going to do well in a tag team if I don't like who I'm tagged with. So for me personally, that's the way that it has to work, but I don't think that has to work. It has to work like that for everybody.
Now, Mims, it seems like with Billy Corgan and really a lot of the wrestling companies nowadays, they're very open to kind of working together, minus a few, but pretty much everybody is kind of hand in hand. Obviously, you guys AAA working together, Impact, a little bit here and there. I mean, it just seems like a lot of openness within wrestling. Who are some dream matches or some matches you would like to have if the doors were open as far as NWA?
Well, if the doors were open, I mean, there's a couple of dream matches on my mind. We could sit here all day and go back and forth about what tag teams I think we should face, what situations we should put in, what stipulations I could see for myself and Dak Draper. And again, like I kind of discussed before, as I was gushing about my tag team partner, was that I would kind of put us up against anybody. So there's only. I guess I should probably just narrow it down to probably 2 or 3 major ones if I could narrow it down instead of just spending all day naming off a list. I mean, obviously, I'd love to see what the chemistry would be if we happen to have a little match against the New Day, one of the most dominant tag teams of recent years, and then also one of the most dominant tag teams ever. The Bloodline, of course. I mean, they're on top of the world right now, and then also like these guys are putting on banger matches every single week. There's too much to choose from in that, and hey, personal favorite, if we can pull people out of retirement and have them go for another one and they can wrestle just like they did in their prime, by all means, I would totally take the world's greatest tag team all over again if I could. I want to see them back in their primes. I want to face those guys. If not, hey, I can settle for a little bit of what is looking like it's reforming as the Hurt Business through Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, that would be a fantastic match for the four of us to be in. The the amount of veteran knowledge that's going to be in that ring, outside of me, of course, I'm the young guy. I'm the one with the empty noggin. But the amount of experience there, the amount of skill there, I wouldn't be. I don't think I'd be overestimating as saying it could be a potential greatest tag team match of all time. Let me not let me try to act like I'm not biased here, but I still can see that kind of match coming forth from either of the choices that I just kind of laid out there when I narrowed it down. But we do at NWA work with other promotions, so I could see a lot of those dream matches that are still swirling in my head. Some of the same ones I haven't even mentioned yet, just the ones that came to mind. I could see those happening in the future potentially. Hey, as long as we have Billy's permission, hey, the world is our oyster. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Dak, what do you think? What are some of the matches stick out to you? Some dream matches that you'd love to have?
The Revival, end of list.
Wow, yes.
So everyone that Mims said, but the Revival is my number one.
Yeah, that would be nice. And hey, they might be gone from AEW. Who knows, right? I mean, so that could definitely happen.
On that.
Now, as far as Billy Corgan, you could, obviously the owner of NWA, the boss. I had the privilege of talking to him last year, and it was funny because I'm thinking like, oh, probably going to talk a lot of Smashing Pumpkins. Had him on for a decent amount of time. I think Smashing Pumpkins was 30 seconds, and it was all wrestling. So to me, I just surprised. I was like, man, he really loves the business. He seems like a bit of a historian, to be honest. He knows his facts and stuff. Dak, were you surprised, like just how invested Billy is into wrestling and how much he loves wrestling? Because you never know with some guys that are the boss. They're like, are they really fans? Are they just out for the money? He's a big fan, historian.
So I wasn't really that surprised just because of how long he had been getting into wrestling and how his involvement that he had with Impact before. It seems like if someone just wants to get into wrestling as like a hobby or like they just want to get in, like dip their toe in, typically like any kind of adversity and they're out. And it seems like going through that time at Impact, like with the amount of time that he's spent involved, he's been through adversity and he's just like leaned in even more to it. So to me, it's, you can listen to someone's words all you want, but I want to watch their actions. And his actions have showed that he is all in on wrestling, or not all in on wrestling, but he's into it. He's in to stay. And so judging by his actions, like at this point, I'm not surprised. If we were talking about this like 7 or 8 years ago, then yeah, maybe I'd be a little bit more skeptical. But no, I'm just judging by his actions. I am not surprised at all that like he is such a wrestling historian and that he cares so much about wrestling.
Mims, what do you think on Billy? Obviously, he's got the Smashing Pumpkins going on, but he's going to bring NWA along for the ride.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually very excited about that. That's something that I've talked about in different interviews here and there, that I actually really respect Billy, not only for being such a big fan of pro wrestling, but also trying to do so much to transform what pro wrestling is. He's not somebody who just wants to go in and take from the business by, having his own company, making his own money. This is somebody who's doing something that's a labor of love. It's something he doesn't have to do. It's something that it definitely isn't necessary in this day and age, and it comes with a lot of negativity owning a wrestling company. So you're kind of coming in there asking for burdens in the first place. So it's got to be something that you truly love, you truly have a passion for. And, it almost feels like now through what we have in the NWA, he almost has that same passion that he obviously has had for music for decades now. He's showing that in pro wrestling and getting to really express that with the NWA. And I think it's very... We're very fortunate that he's deciding to tie up his reputation in music and take what he's done in music so far to try to boost us here in the NWA. And I'm really excited to be along for the ride for each of these concerts. Unfortunately, I was never much of a concert goer growing up. I've only been to a handful of them. I can only say that I've been to at least like 3 or 4 so far. I think a Childish Gambino one, a Kendrick Lamar one, a Godsmack concert back in the day. But I haven't been to a Smashing Pumpkins concert. And I think that probably the ultimate experience you can possibly ever get with a Smashing Pumpkins concert, and again, I've never been to one before. I think the best experience you can get is possibly being the guys that are sitting in the ring, beating other people up while they're playing their greatest hits at the same time. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I think this is a great way to elevate everybody. And most importantly, Billy's main goal, elevate pro wrestling. So I'm all in for it.
Dak, what do you think? Are you a big Pumpkins fan? Are you loving Smashing Pumpkins? You loving this tour?
Yeah, I love the tour if I'm a part of it. I'm ambitious, man. Like when I saw that Mexico tour and I'm sitting at home, that pissed me off, and it pissed me off that me and Mims weren't there. And we're gonna take that into the match on Friday night because La Rebellion was there, and I'm a little jealous about that. And I'd say little is an understatement. I'm really jealous about that, and so I think that's going to help us find that extra edge because I don't want to miss out on any more of those tours. And if we have the tag team titles, they have to bring us.
That is true. Dak, is that something you bring up to Billy? Like, hey, you got to book me on this tour? Or is that something you're just kind of holding within?
When it was first announced, I went up to him and I said, I would really like to be a part of those tours. And he said, all right, we'll see. And I wasn't a part of those tours. And so I realized that I have to force people's hands sometime. I need to control what I can control. And Mims and I can control that the outcome of that match, the match on Friday. And so hopefully we will end up being on those tours because we took our own destiny into our own hands.
I kind of blame Conan a little bit because La Rebellion, he's boys with those guys. You know what I mean? I kind of blame Conan a little bit for that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people like him and myself.
Yeah.
Bims, what do you think about that? Maybe a trip to Mexico, a little AAA?
I mean, I'd love to. If anything, I'm actually a pretty big fan of Conan. I listen to his podcast at least every week. I'm making for sure to listen to what him and Disco are saying. And so it'd be nice to see kind of how they do things in Mexico because he's actually kind of upped my love for Lucha Libre. Just because it was something I really didn't understand beforehand, but by listening to that podcast, understanding more of what Conan does, and then especially seeing Conan with La Rebellion not too long ago, actually when they first started in the company, seeing them with Conan kind of made me very interested to see exactly where the roots of this team came from. That was one thing that kind of let me know from the jump they were going to be dangerous, is that they're hanging around with a guy like Conan. A guy like Conan, he's not somebody who is going to pull punches. He's not going to BS you. This is not somebody that when he manages you, this is not somebody who's going to allow failure from his team. And obviously they took that to heart and they've been able to achieve back and forth until we get to now. So doesn't matter if Conan's there or not, whether we're in Mexico or not, whether we're in Chicago or not, if those tag team titles are on the line or not, it's Magnum Muscle, brother. It's Magnum Muscle. That's exactly what it is. So I would love to be on more tours, whooping ass all over the world. Excuse my French. Whooping tuchus around the world would be fantastic. And like Dak said, the only way we can do that is with two big gold shiny things sitting around our waist. So we'll control that.
Now, as we hit the wind down, we head towards the finish here. Obviously, NWA 312, Chicago, Illinois, on April 7th. You got the big pay-per-view available on Fight TV. Tickets, NWATix.com, NationalWrestlingAlliance.com. Dak, give us one last big push for the PPV. Yes, the cat makes an appearance.
Cat Draper is here to tell you guys that if you miss the NWA 312 pay-per-view on Friday night, then shame on you.
Mims, how about you? Give us a big push and maybe a prediction, or some people like to say a spoiler.
Oh, a spoiler, a prediction. I'd like to say that in this instance that Magnum Muscle as a team is clairvoyant. We've been able to see through to the future because we understand exactly what the future holds. Because again, I've said the momentum does not stop. This is an unstoppable force. And we aren't going to stop with La Rebellion. We're taking these titles. We're moving on. We're moving forward. I'm seeing the future. I'm seeing more of these world tours. I'm seeing Billy playing us out to the ring. I'm seeing us beat the greatest tag teams of all time that are still operating, that still haven't been beat by Magnum Muscle. I see us going from company to company to company, showing that dominance with those big shiny belts around our waist. I just hope that anybody who's still on the fence about watching 312, about ordering it on Fight TV, anybody who's still on the fence to get those last little bit of tickets that are left for those TV tapings the day after, I'm hoping the people that are still on the fence understand that they are on the precipice of history. This match is going to make history no matter how it ends up. It's going to be the greatest match on NWA 312, and that's a Magnum Muscle guarantee. Maybe I gotta give you that guarantee here. So what I'm saying is, I'm asking every single person who hasn't already ordered it, who doesn't have their ticket and is waiting on their flight. I'm asking you directly. Do you want to see history be made? Do you want to be there? One of the greatest attractions of all time is on their steady uprise. Do you want to be there when history is made? And that's a question, obviously, I can't answer for everybody else. They have to answer that themselves. But we'll make for sure that we show them the history that I'm talking about. We show them that this is the beginning. And it all starts at 312.
Where can everybody find you, Mims, as far as social media?
Everything that I'm under is at really_Mims, because guess what? It is really my name. I am really Mims. This is really me. I'm real. I like to think so. Really Mims.
I can vouch for that. He is really Mims.
Yes, we met in person.
Dak, what about you? Where can everybody find you, social media and otherwise?
So as a tag team, we keep things consistent. All my stuff it's all the same as well. It's at Mile High Magnum, all one word. IG, Twitter, Facebook, Tinder, everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
Of course, like we were talking about, NWA 312, NWA 312 is on pay-per-view. Go to Fight or go to the NationalWrestlingAlliance.com for more information. Order that damn pay-per-view, and hopefully Magnum Muscle will defeat La Rebellion and become the new NWA World Tag Team Champions. Guys, thank you so much for all the time. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome.